Matt Wallace won over in Europe on the Omega European Masters. Emotional win for him. Kind of average guy from England. Really a club tinkerer. I was putting together his what's in the bag. The guy changes clubs quite a bit. He was a dedicated Callaway staffer back in 2022, but has gone through a number of different clubs since that point. Pull this up. That is Matt Wallace, if you did not know his face. Again, Englander, has been playing on the PGA Tour quite a bit this year, but swings back and forth to the DP World Tour quite a bit as well. So again, I mentioned this last couple weeks when we went over Lydia Ko. The Ping 430 G430 LST is the hot boy, hot girl club for the year. He's playing
Hmm.
it in the 10.5. I put the neck setting up here, so he's playing that as a flat setting. When you don't see the markings on the ping neck, that's when you have it on the flat side. So he's got it laid a little bit flat. The other setting is a little more upright. I also play the flat setting as my arms are a little bit longer, and the upright setting feels really strange. So the Fujikara Ventus Blue TR7X, we've seen this one pretty much throughout the year, in a lot of players' bags. But again, we're going to get into it a little bit. We're seeing a little bit of migration away from this particular shaft. TaylorMade QI10 Tour. This one was an interesting loft at 16.5 degrees, playing a 4 wood, and also the Fujikara Ventus Blue 8X. And another unique touch. A lot of the players have been playing the standard version of the QI10. He's got the tour with the weight shifted to the front, so increasing his spin. What do you think about this?
Weight forward makes it low spinning. Yeah, 16 and a half is a weird setting, but I guess if you have it the weight forward, that helps you as far as your launch conditions go to help it from not going too high. You might be right. I mean, you're probably right with the spin. I mean, but last time, I mean, what they're gravitating towards now is like with the GT series and stuff like that. Even with the weight forward, the spin is still way down. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still you're right. It's weird because a lot of these players with the 3 wood or 5 wood are going more to the regular or the max version, so that even with like a draw bias, they're still hitting left or right shots or straight shots, and they're finding a way to manipulate these clubs and use them to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I just found it was weird that, not weird, but just outside of the box that he was playing the tour version. We've seen a
Yeah,
bunch of players playing this particular club, but just not the tour. So nice little touch. And I think also, and I could be wrong on this, guys that kind of have originated in Europe don't their wood lineup is very different than your traditional player that grew up in the US playing a lot of parkland courses, and I don't know if that has any
yeah.
influence on how he sets his bag up, but definitely a unique touch there.
Hmm.
In the hybrid Titleist TSR2 18 degree, this is kind of where we see the migration, and we've been seeing this shaft, the Tour Design AD D1105 X Flex. We're seeing this particular shaft make a big comeback this year. We've seen that in Hideki Matsuyama. A couple of other players' bags that we've reviewed this year have gravitated back toward the Tour AD, which is awesome. I'm glad we don't have to talk about the Fujikara Ventus in everybody's clubs and kind of through the
Yeah.
bag. So, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, the Tour AD is a great shaft. I mean, if mine win the split at the Hazel, I still would be using it. I think nowadays, with how my swing has developed, I feel like I go heavier shaft like I've been doing normally. But other than that, it was a great tool. Takes the spin away from all these faces and clubs but helps and gets you a great trajectory. So you play a little bit more through the air. You're not worried about rollout as much. That's not as much of a factor. I believe it makes you more accurate off the tee, and when you're using it coming in the greens. And happy for him, and the 18 degree, that's essentially a 5 wood. So him playing, a lower lofted 3 wood essentially, and then a 5 wood. That I mean that models up with pretty much every bag that we have. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
an it's really just a matter of how you want your 5 wood or 18-degree club to look. Some people want a smaller top line and a smaller profile on that, and other people like a traditional 5 wood. Like I think Rory still has a 3 wood 5 wood. There's been a lot of people like I mean Xander. Xander has a hybrid as his 5 wood. He used that Apex Callaway Apex 19-degree or whatever as his 5 wood replica. He doesn't use a traditional wood,
Yeah.
so there's definitely plenty of players out there doing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause this real quick just because you are actually correct on the weight thing. So I'll pull it up real quick. Google Labs tells us that back of the driver, heavier weight at the back of the driver can make it more stable, which can hit the ball higher with more backspin. It also increases the dynamic loft and carry distance. Front of the driver, heavier weight in the front of the driver can make the ball launch lower with less spin, which can help the ball go further. However, this can make the club twist more at impact if the ball is hit off center. So, shout out to you for getting that right in the first place. All right, my man, and we will move forward. So, also carrying the Titleist 2 100 and the 2 iron. Again, still using that Tour AD, Tour Design AD, same chef that he's using in hybrid as well. And this feels like an
Yeah,
interchangeable club for him, just depending on the course that he's playing. I
yeah,
don't know. I always love the T200. That lineup between the T200, the 100, the I think they have the 150, which is more a little bit strong
yeah.
lofted. All are
Mm-hmm.
beautiful clubs. Just
100%.
honestly.
Love the look of that for sure. That's a nice looking driving iron, my man says. Just interchangeable. Just use that whenever I want to.
Yeah. And it looks like he's got a little punch hole. I wonder if he's got some little injection in there or something. That's an interesting little
Mm,
marker there on the back of that club.
yeah,
So again, a couple of years
there you
ago, he
go.
was a Callaway staffer, stuck with the Callaway Apex X Forge CBs 4 through 9, rocking the Nippon NS Pro Modus 3 Tour 120. To me, man, there's two styles of irons that are out there. They're the really sleek, really smooth looking clubs. You see that from lineups like we just mentioned. Titleist irons tend to be just kind of sleek. TaylorMade's really gone that route. But then there's these Callaways are more of a rugged kind of just old school CB. I don't know. I think there's room for both, just depending on what you like. We've seen a couple of players still playing these as well. Just kind of a workhorse type of iron. What do you think about these?
Yeah, to me, the Apex is always presented better than how it's played. I have never had good luck in the Bay or out on the course trying out Apex and Callaway clubs in general. I mean, it's a very sad situation for me because I want to believe in the hype of Callaway, but we just butt heads every time, bro. But I love the look of the Apex. That's one of the first cavity back CB type clubs that I looked at grabbing when we were, when me and Rod, we both upgraded at the same time, ended up going with the same irons and everything, pro combos. So same type look,
Yeah,
thinner top line. But yeah, those were up my alley. Those were some clubs I was looking at even back then. So always something that I've wanted to try and get behind. But like I said, looks precede themselves with Callaway for me. And as I always send you our little DMs and the IG, the blacked out Apex Callaway and all those new ones, they still look fire as hell. I just can't hit them. So I think the Modus 120, that's a little bit different. Not a lot of people.
yeah,
Again, I think that's more of a niche for Europeans. They have more of the nip and shaft, and they use. I feel like we don't really use the Project X over here in the states. I feel like we're a lot
no,
of
not
true
as much.
tempers, and then of course the KBX if you call yourself a player. So um, yeah, that's a interesting club, especially for it to be that light too. A lot of these guys on
Yeah,
the lighter side are still 125. One True Temper S300s are 127. So 120, I think he wants to get his speed up a little bit. I'm swinging
for sure,
120s. I
for
love
sure.
it. but I don't know, 125 to 120 feel like is a big difference feel wise mentally. Like, there's not,
Yeah.
unless you swung 1,000 clubs and stuff like that, you're not really going to know the difference between a 120 and a 125 unless you're swinging it. But I definitely think
And I
it's good enough.
remember, go ahead. But I
No, no,
remember
I'm,
him
I'm finished.
saying earlier in the year when he did that walk and talk during a PGA Tour event that he was definitely working on getting stronger, getting in the gym. And you can tell that. I mean, he's still a small guy, but he's got a little tire around the stomach, and so he was definitely talking about getting some more distance. And I think
Yeah,
this kind of plays into it that he's not necessarily one of the stronger players out there. And it's kind of like when we were talking about when we were playing the S300 that it's a workout. I never really feel
yeah,
like playing a 120 now that even if I'm haven't worked out in a while or if I'm haven't swung the club in a while, that it's big a difference to me. But however,
yeah,
if I had taken a couple weeks off or hadn't played around when we were still playing the S300s, it felt like it was, getting adjusted to them was
yeah,
difficult throughout. You're adjusting throughout the round, so I can see that in him as like I said, as he tries to get himself in better shape going into the off season. We could see a change in the way he changes clubs out so frequently. That's very possible for him that we could see him in the 130 maybe next season or 125 if they offer that. Pretty standard fare. Just again going through his history of clubs. Always plays the latest and greatest from the Titleist Vokey line. Last year he was in
hmm
the SM9s. Oh, so he's upgraded playing the 46-degree pitching wedge, the 50 bent to 51, and a 54 in the SM10s. Again, carrying through that Nippon same modus shaft through the excuse me the wedges. Any thoughts here?
Well, you saw he had a lot. You saw he had a third long iron or a third tee off club besides the driver. So that's why he has three wedges. Trippy though that your highest lofted wedge is 54
Well,
with 10
no.
degrees
He's
of
got a
bounce at them.
60.
Oh, okay.
He's got a
Okay.
60. It was just separate, and it was a totally different one. So we'll come. Yeah. So he's
Okay.
he's he's still got the 60
Okay. Well, then in that case, I like the gapping. I know. I know it works good for him. Boom. All right.
for sure. Yeah. So he's got the Vokey design wedge works, the 60 A grind prototype. Same thing, same shaft that's carried through. So
And I think
that's
that's
why I
cool though.
separated those.
I think it's cool when they use the same shaft throughout the irons. It gives you some familiarity. You're not sitting here changing weights. Like, we've done what's in the bags before where the guys are swinging these 100 and, these 130s or whatever, and then play the S400 wedge shaft, and it's a completely different feel, completely different flight.
Yep.
So for him to be using the same shaft, I think that's cool. I think that, that plays into his hand with all the tinkering that he does. At least there's some familiarity with the shaft.
Yeah, even for me as an amateur, I've gone to all the same weights from the iron lineup through my wedges. It just feels more
hmm
comfortable to me where I don't have to make this adjustment and, change anything about my swing. So I
Right.
really enjoy that as well. From a putter perspective, Scotty Cameron Phantom 9. Again, the man is a tinkerer. He is playing the Callaway Jailbird at the beginning of this year, which was the
Yep.
kind of hot putter coming off of last year. But he is now in the Scotty Cameron Phantom 9. Really attractive putter. This is one of their newest ones in the lineup. Um, they continue to evolve and put out, I mean, amazingly beautiful putters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I wouldn't play it. It's not for me, but it's a beautiful looking putter.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that Scotty's trying to do with all of these new Phantom 7s and Phantom 11s is make it easier to have stabilization throughout the face, kind of like a TaylorMade, but still want their sound and feel characteristics that they've had for the longest. But not only do they have the lineup line, but if you take it out piece by piece, all of the pieces together create arrows to focus on your start line, your alignment, and your target line. So it's a real trippy technology. But once you separate the pieces and then put them all together, I mean that sounds so stupid. But the way they explained it, um, on on Scotty Cameron on YouTube, and then on like our little teaching modules that we go through from time to time through
Hmm.
through our ambassadorships. That's what they're trying to explain. So like the Phantom 11, it has like train tracks to it. This one here, it has like the little things. Everything's pointing up and towards that alignment line, so it makes it easier for you to do that. And then they just differentiate how it's attached to the head. Like a putter like that where it's a double bend,
Right.
it's gonna be more straight back, straight through. But if it was like a smaller slant neck, then would it be more for like a toe flow, something that you can open and close and feel like you have an arc with your putter. So it's crazy diving into the technology of putters nowadays with how much
Yeah.
variation there is, but it's a very fun science to look at and delve into.
No doubt. And it's one of the things that's so individualized that, it seems like
Right.
that there would be a lot of variation to that, right? To figure out
Hmm.
what works best for each particular putting style and what's comfortable for you and your tendencies as a putter. Um, so it's really cool to hear that, how that technology works. And kind of a really predictable deal here with this ball. Playing the Titleist Pro V1X. Couldn't see much variation. Had a comment on a previous video. I think it was a Lydia Cohen where somebody was like, they're playing. She's playing the some left
Older
dash
version.
version. I forget what, like a star or
Oh,
something. I was like, okay,
that's a
but
prototype then
at
if
the
it's a
time,
star.
right, right.
Mm,
I forget which one they mentioned, but even then, I went to the Titleist website, which, they love claiming people who are playing their balls. And they said that even earlier in 2024, she's playing a different version that they had seen that I think was mentioned on Golf Monthly. So,
mhm.
just depending on how you're striking it and what you're needing at the time, I'm sure ball variations change just like people's clubs. Even though you may be playing the Pro V1X, there's different customizations that they can make for each individual player. So
Yeah.
that is Matt Wallace's "What's in the Bag." Just wanted to cover that since he was our winner of note this week. You get a lot of stuff out of this channel, y'all. A little business knowledge, a little technical golf knowledge, a little BS in here and there. You're in a well-rounded environment. So uh,
Absolutely.
hit that subscribe button, hit that membership button. We got you covered on all things golf.